Hey, so this is going to be a video showing you the first step in creating a fabulous and perfect natural part on a lace closure. So let's get started. The items I'm using an angled eyeliner brush, and you see how flat and narrow it is. This is very important. This is why I use this brush. Using a mixing bowl, some foil sheets, or just one foil sheet is fine. A mixing brush. I'm using Clairol BW2 bleach, the powder bleach, and some 30 volume cream developer, and I'm also using some toner. I'm using Matrix Color Edition So Color Additive in blue. This is going to help prevent any brassiness. So you're just going to take a little bit of the bleach. You won't need a full scoop of it, and I'm just going to add developer by the capful. After I mix the bleach, I'm adding 2 drops of the color additive, the toner, and I'm going to mix that up. And you see it's turning blue. Once it's all mixed up, it's going to be a nice, weird purpley color, and then it'll eventually turn white. So I let that sit for a few minutes, and then it's time to get started on prepping for the closure. So this is the closure. This is what it looks like before, and you can see the knots are very apparent. And in this video, this closure is already attached to a Perfection Redefined Bossy wig, but you don't have to have your closure attached to anything. So I'm just going to take one of the foil sheets and I'm lining my mannequin head. You can use a styrofoam head. And that's just to protect the mannequin head as well as to insulate the bleach so that it will process properly. And you're just going to add your closure on top of the foil. As I mentioned previously, this is a wig, so this is why it looks like this. And so now you can see the foil underneath the lace. And this also allows you to see the knots very clearly so you can see what you're doing. So I have the closure prepped, and what you're going to do first is you're going to take, you can take a comb, the end of a comb. I like to use something very precise and narrow. And you want to make a part in your closure where you want to wear your part. This is ideal for people who want to wear just one part in their hair and you don't change your part up too often, or maybe you wear 2 parts and you don't really change it that much. So you're going to part the hair, and you want this part to be very precise. The reason you want it to be precise is because you need to put the bleach on it without getting bleach on hair strands. In order to do that, you got to get all the strands out of the way. So once the hair is parted, I'm just clipping it down so that there's no hair sticking up to get in our way. And if you want to do more than one part, then this is where you can go ahead and part your hair in other areas and make sure you have your parts precise and just clip it all down to keep your sections separate. You can also braid your sections to keep them separate as well. And you can do as many sections as you like. Once you have your hair parted and sectioned off, what you're going to do is take that flat eyeliner brush, the angled eyeliner brush, I'm sorry, and you're going to grab a tiny amount of bleach on just the tip of the brush. You just want to get it on the tip. This is very important. You're just going to use a very small amount of bleach. And what I'm going to do is dab the bleach into the part, and I'm going to push it onto the knots and pushing it on. And you just want to go all the way along the part from the back to the front. I generally start in the back or in the middle. I don't start in the front because I want to make sure that I don't get too much bleach on the front, because usually on a closure the hair in the front is not as dense as the hair in the back. And so I'm just dabbing it on, and then I push it into the knots. And I want to make sure that I get the bleach on all of the knots that are visible, and make sure you keep the bleach off of the hair strands themselves. This is a lot easier to get the bleach just on the knots without getting it on your hair, and this is also going to prevent the bleach from seeping onto the roots of the hair, therefore giving you blonde roots. This is a perfect way to prevent that problem. You can see how much bleach I'm using, and just continue to go along the part. I'm making sure I apply enough bleach. You don't want to apply too little. You want to make sure you have enough. You just don't want to dab it all on there at the same time. So I apply a little at a time, and then I build up as I continue to go over the same areas. And you will be able to see some knots on the sides of the part, and what you want to do is continue to push the bleach down into that part. And as you push the bleach down, what it's going to do is seep under the lace just a tiny bit. And what the foil is going to do is it's going to help it, when it expands, it's going to expand up onto those knots alongside of the part. And once we're done with the part, what you're going to do is take a piece of foil, take one of the foil sheets, and I'm going to use that foil sheet just to separate the hair. So I did two parts, so what I'm going to do is just flip the section of hair over that foil sheet. And I'm going to repeat the process along all of the hair that I've sectioned off into the parts. I've actually done multiple so that I can show you how I'm doing this from different angles so you can see what it should look like once you apply the bleach. And it should be applied in a straight line along the part, and anytime you section the hair, I'm separating it with foil. And you can do your parts really close together, or you can do them really far apart. It just depends on how you would like to wear your hair. And something else you can also do after you have done this, you can actually go over the bottom of the closure with a very, very light layer of bleach, which will also help to diminish the knots along the sides of the part. And as you can see, I'm applying it very carefully, ensuring not to get it on the roots of the hair, only on the knots, on the closure. And you can see when I'm pushing it in. And if you do get a little bit on the roots of the hair, just wipe it off with your finger, it comes right off. And since you're using such a small amount on your brush, then it shouldn't take too much to get it off. And what I do is, once I've gone through all of my sections and applied bleach to all the parts, I just go back over each one more time and add a little bit more bleach. That's just to keep the bleach fresh and to ensure that I got everything covered. And as I mentioned again, if you get a little bit of bleach on the roots, just wipe it right off so that you don't have blonde roots. And the concept of this is the bleach is going to expand downward rather than up, since we're applying it on this portion of the lace rather than the underside. Now, once I'm all finished, I just covered all of the hair and allowed it to process. And then I'm taking each section of the hair and I'm braiding it to keep them separated after I wash. I allow the bleach to process with the foil on top for about 35 minutes. So once I have all of the hair sectioned off, just remove the closure from the mannequin or your styrofoam head and wash it. And I just use my Red Out or any shampoo actually to wash it off. I use a clarifying shampoo. You can see the bleach lines on the bottom of the closure. They're in straight lines. And as I said, you can go over your closure with bleach on the bottom. Now after I've washed it, as you can see, you have a nice part. So I put a little fabric on my mannequin head so you can see the partings better, and I just apply the closure back on the mannequin head. Now we're going to take a look at the parts that we did in comparison to the parts that we didn't do. So this is one of the parts that was bleached, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. It looks like a natural scalp. And here's another area that was bleached. So we're going to take a look at an area that was not bleached down the part. So we're just going to grab a section, part it down the middle, and you'll see in this section, you can see the knots clearly in the part versus the section that we bleached where you won't be able to see the knots clearly in the part. So you can see it does make a dramatic difference, and you didn't have to bleach your entire closure. And there are no blonde roots where you have your hair parted. So this was step one. This was the bleaching process, and as I mentioned before, you can add a little bleach to the underside of your closure while you're processing it to lighten up the rest of the knots if you would like to. And this is great if you are doing a single part. And stay tuned for my video showing you the next steps of the process to achieve this flawless part on your closure once you have it applied. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.